Namaste, and welcome to Awaken Living with Nibodhi and the final episode of 2025. What a year this has been. Really, this has been the most challenging year of my life. And for so many people, it's also been the most challenging year of their lives. And that's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. Challenges are how we grow. And so this has also been the most growthful year of my life. So many things have happened this year. You can't even make it up. Number one, this podcast has started. That is absolutely incredible. And the responses I've had have been absolutely amazing. So thank all of you who are listening and have replied, responded, commented. It's been such a blessing beyond anything you can imagine. And I've also had people who I thought were my closest friends in the whole world completely betray me beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I had people who I had no idea were my friends stand by me and have my back and hold me in the most challenging times. I've made divine connections that I could not have ever imagined would happen, and I've lost connections that I thought I would have forever. And I would say the most profound thing was being with my father, and that just happened in October when he took his last breath, and doing the traditional Native American prayers, the traditional Vedic prayers, the whole last 24 hours of his life, and sitting next to him as he inhaled and exhaled his last breath, and two eagles flew his spirit into the sunset. And what I want to share today is what more than anything has supported me through all of this. One is love. That's the most important thing. The love and grace of the divine, of my closest friends. But even more than that is the love of my own self, loving myself and being there for myself. And what allows me to love myself is sadhana. That's my daily spiritual practice. And that's what I really want to focus on today, is what sadhana is and taking that into the next year. I'm not one to make New Year's resolutions. And if you are, that's fine. I'm not saying anything good, bad, right, or wrong about New Year's resolutions, but I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because for me, really every day is a resolution. It is my resolution. It's a resolve. It's an intention. In the Vedas, they call that a sankalpa. My intention, my sankalpa, is every day to be more conscious and more loving and more kind and more aware and more present and more attuned and more in my heart and more living from love than the day before, than the moment before. It's a moment-to-moment process. So for me, every day is a new resolution. Every day is the practice of awakened living. I don't wait for the Gregorian calendar to change to attempt to make the necessary shifts in my life to live the most awakened life I can. So I would encourage you, if you are making a New Year's resolution this year, that is to wake up every morning and live your best year every single day, to make that resolution every single day, not just on 11/59, December 31st, 2025, or January 1st, 2026, every single day. So for the rest of today's discussion, I want to share about what sadhana is and how that can really support our day-to-day life, and how it supports my day-to-day life, and how it's really the very heart of my transformation itself, of healing and of awakening. Some form of spiritual practice is the foundation of every living wisdom tradition on the planet, every path of spirituality, of awakening, every transformation I've seen in myself and with those I work with. It's some kind of spiritual practice is that foundation. And for many, when they hear the word sadhana, they might think of monks sitting in a cave somewhere, or yogis in the Himalayas, or maybe your super ripped yoga teacher telling you to meditate more or to stand in your headstand more. To me, that's not sadhana. How I see sadhana is, it's not about being perfect. It's not about becoming holy or being holy or anything like that. It's actually just about being human, being completely and fully human, the deepest human we can be, feeling everything, being awake and alive and inspired as a human being while feeling all of it, all the pain, all the sorrow, all the hurt, the heartache, and the joy and the radiance and the bliss and the awe, and being in amazement of the beauty of creation, and in that amazement being in divine synchronicity to allow the flow of grace to shower upon us. But what sadhana really means in the basic terms is just a spiritual practice. It's a way of being more than anything. It's a discipline, or even more so, a commitment to your own higher self, to your own process of self-love, of self-awakening. And what that entails is basically any practice, any spiritual practice done with an intention, or really any practice done with a spiritual intention. It is first and foremost the intention behind it. And it's the intention of dedicating time and action to turning our awareness inward towards ourselves, to bring the senses inward. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be your meditation practice. It could be doing yoga. It could be chanting mantras, doing puja, doing breath work, journaling, gratitude journals. It could be self-inquiry. It could be walking through the forest in silence, just tuning in. What really makes sadhana is the intentionality behind it. And it's the choice to really dedicate ourselves to remembering who we are, our divine self. And that only happens when we turn the awareness inward. And so remember, this is really important, that, it's not just doing yoga. It's not just sitting on your meditation cushion. That's not sadhana. It has to have an intention. Anyone can go and do yoga. That doesn't require any special skill or any special devotion to yourself. Many people go to the gym and do yoga just so they'll have a ripped body or be more flexible for when they go to lift weights so they can have a ripped body. That's not it. It's the intention. There has to be that sankalpa behind it. And yes, doing yoga can be that. But when you step on the yoga mat, make that a prayer. Make it a prayer that your consciousness and your heart, your love, expand so that we are a vessel of love and light in the world, that we're of service. It can be a prayer of whatever you want it to be. It can be, you could do yoga and pray for the floods, for the rainforest, for the polar bears, whatever. We dedicate an intention to ourselves, to the world, to a specific cause, to a specific scenario. It's the intention. It's that directed awareness. So really what sadhana is sadhana becomes anything we do consistently with reverence, with devotion, with awareness, and it orients our being towards the sacred, towards the self. It's any single action. It can really be as simple as waking up before the sun and sitting in silence, or chanting mantras while walking in the forest, or just lighting a candle and staring at the candle and quieting the mind, or writing in your journal, or even as simple as when you're making your food, consciously preparing your food with love and gratitude for the earth, for the farmers, and everyone that helped bring that food into existence. It really doesn't matter. It's the work we do on ourselves as an offering. It's that kind of devotional awareness. What sadhana then does when we can have that awareness, it functions like a bridge. It bridges the ordinary and the extraordinary. It bridges the mundane to the divine. It reminds us on a whole new level that all life, every part of life is sacred. Every part of life is holy. There's nothing that's not holy. We don't need to do anything to become holy. Life doesn't need to do anything to be life or to be sacred. It's all sacred. It's just the remembering of it. It's reminding ourselves that we're not just our thoughts. We're not our roles that we play in life. We're not our names. We're not all the titles or degrees or our to-do list. None of that. I mean, those are part of life. We don't deny that, but that's not who we are. It's a reminder that we're divine. And that what I found with my spiritual practice with sadhana is that it keeps me focused. It keeps me focused on my goal. And my goal ultimately is to know myself completely, is to love completely with no conditions, unconditional love. And if that's possible, that's God's love. And when we have that goal in mind, we can really live our dharma, our true purpose. And for me, without that daily anchor, the mind, the emotions, the habits, even the relationships get often pulled into noise and chaos of the external world. And there's a forgetfulness in that, forgetting our divine purpose, our divine love. And when I do my sadhana, when I do it with attention and awareness, my consciousness shifts. The energy shifts. It actually creates a massive amount of energy in the body. But the energy shifts, the physical, mental, emotional energy shifts. It provides a mental and emotional clarity that don't rely on the sense organs. But even the sense organs, the sense of connection to the external world, all improve. It takes on this sattvic quality, this really beautiful, serene quality that's unmatched. I would encourage you, everyone who's listening, to ask yourself, what is sadhana for you? What does that look like for you? What does it mean for you? How does it show up in your life? How can you apply it in your life right now, today, in whether you're in the middle of work, in the midst of your family life, your family affairs, your family duties, whatever your health physically, mentally, emotionally is, whatever challenges you're experiencing as a human being, whatever's going on in the world for you right now, how can sadhana show up for you? How can you use that sadhana to become more aware in all of these things? It's not that you're going to disappear. It's not that you forget your phone number, forget to pay your bills, and you're sitting in this perfect lotus posture and lights glowing out of your head. Nothing like that. It's that it allows us to show up completely as a human being in all of our interactions. And because I love Ayurveda so much, I really love to look at these things from the Ayurvedic viewpoint and from the view of Ayurveda, because remember, Ayurveda is the knowledge of life. It applies to everything from the mundane to the mystic, and really transforms the mundane into the mystic. So nothing is mundane. But really, from the Ayurvedic perspective, sadhana is medicine. And I think it's really the only medicine for our highly distractible minds, because Ayurveda teaches us, just like yoga does, that everything is consciousness, our bodies, our emotions, our thoughts, all following the cycles of time, of the sun, of the moon, of the seasons, of life, of death, all of it. It follows these beautiful cycles. And so we acknowledge that everything is part of that consciousness. On some level, we stop taking things so seriously. We stop taking ourselves so seriously. But when we sit down, really, when we sit down for the meditation practice or the mantra practice or whatever the practice is, doesn't matter. It's good if we can do it at the same time each day, at the same time each morning, because what happens is the nervous system begins to anticipate and expect that stillness. And each time we do that at the same time each day, it becomes easier to drop in. It becomes easier, and we go deeper, and it becomes more natural, and eventually it becomes blissful, like really blissful. And yoga and Ayurveda teach us that our nature is Satchitananda, that pure bliss consciousness. So it is possible to attain a never-ending bliss, and that's ultimately the real goal of life. That's who we are when all the cobwebs that obscure the light of our true self are removed. And it doesn't have to wait until we take our last breath in the hopes of entering some heavenly realm filled with light somewhere. It can happen here. So sadhana on a whole nother level is cleaning the cobwebs. It's doing the house cleaning, really. And as we progress in that, as we do it daily more and more and more, we actually want to get up and do it because it's so joyful, and life is just better that way. At least that's been my experience. And on days that I don't feel like doing it, and that's very, very rare, I actually don't miss it. I never miss a day of sadhana. And I'm not saying that because I'm holy or anything like that. It's just my life is better without it. I feel like something is missing, so I just don't miss it anymore. It's like the spiritual hot date with ourselves. Why would you not want to do that? And if you don't do it every day, there should be no guilt, no shame. It's not religion. God doesn't need us to do it. It's for our own benefit. And some days when I do it, I'm way more focused and concentrated, and some days not as much. But it helps me bring a little bit more of that into life. I'm very excited to share with you Real Mushrooms, the sponsor of the Awakened Living podcast. I use their mushrooms every single day because they've genuinely changed my life. I trust them because they have 50 years of expertise and use 100% organic mushrooms, 0 grains, 0 fillers, which are found in most common mushroom products on the market. They use just real, organic, clinically tested mushrooms. Every morning, I use lion's mane to sharpen my thinking. I use cordyceps to give me the clean energy I need for the day. I use chaga to strengthen my immune system. And when stress hits, and it does, I use reishi to bring me back to center. With their products, you actually feel the difference. For the month of January, Real Mushrooms gives Awakened Living with Nibodhi podcast listeners 25% off their entire first order. Use the code AWAKEN25 at checkout to get 25% off your entire first purchase. You can find their link in the show notes or visit nibodhi.com/mushrooms to get yours today. Looking at it on a deeper Ayurvedic perspective, sadhana does bring balance to the doshas. It brings a physical health that's really undeniable. And if we're a vata constitution, that sadhana really helps us to ground that restless vata mind. It regulates the prana and nourishes the ojas. So that's absolutely essential. And if you're a pitta like me, it cools and directs that fire, that tejas, and it brings patience and hopefully some kind of intelligence and compassion. It cools the anger, it cools the impatience and brings patience. If we're kapha dosha, then it helps to remove that sluggishness, that tamasic, heavy stagnation, and it awakens that inspiration, that motivation, and provides that clarity of mind. So from this perspective, sadhana doesn't just shift our consciousness. It can literally rebalance our physical body. It can rebalance the doshas. It can restore vitality to the tissues of the body. It strengthens the agni, that digestive fire, not just the physical agni, but the mental agni, and supports our immunity. So it's medicine for the body. It's daily medicine for the gross physical body as well as our subtle body. And so no matter what your constitution is, when we do it every single day, the benefits keep accumulating and help to keep us balanced in the body, in the mind, and in our consciousness. And the nature of the world is that the doshas are going to get imbalanced. The seasons change, the winds blow, the rain comes, the sun comes, the doshas get imbalanced. The sadhana that we do helps. It's like a compass that's guiding us back home. It's like that. It's very simple. And in that, from the physical body, the mind transforms in ways it's just so brilliant, so beautiful. The mind, it's not just a machine that thinks. It's a doorway. It's really, the mind can be a portal into the infinite. It can think of the worst, hellish, nightmarish things, and it can think of the most beautiful creation there is. And really what the ancient Vedic rishis, the text, describe the mind like a still lake. And it's just reflecting whatever is looking at it. So if we're looking at it with beauty and divinity, that's what we see back. And when it's stirred up by limiting, fleeting distractions, restlessness, the waters get disturbed and we can't see through the waters. The mind only becomes still when we do sadhana, when we do it with intention, when we do a pure intention, a pure sankalpa. Then the mind can reflect that light of the self more clearly. And that light of the self is the qualities of sattva. It's clarity, it's harmony, it gives peace. And sattva is the doorway to peace. It's the doorway to liberation, meaning it's not that we're dwelling in some spaced out spiritual state. Liberation means that we're in a state of equanimousness, equanimity, where the external circumstances in the world don't disrupt the inner peace. Sadhana, so doing sadhana, it's not about doing spiritual things. It's not about going to satsang at the local temple every week. It's not about that. That's great too, but it's not about these so-called spiritual things. It's about consciously sculpting the mind into a vessel that can hold love and light and truth while living in the world, doing our day-to-day activities, really, for the most part. It removes that tamasic, sluggish inertia effects from the mind and removes that agitation so we can live in peace. That's what it does. Try it. The only way to know is to try. That's been my experience for the most part. When we have that clarity of mind, we have a freedom. We have freedom from the old patterns, from the conditions that we were brought up with, whether it's family or societal or anything like that. We have freedom from the traumas, from the wounds, from the unconscious or subconscious programs, from the subconscious reactivity. And this actually mirrors the modern concepts, these modern neurological concepts. There's a word called neuroplasticity. And what neuroplasticity is it's rewiring and reshaping the mind. It's the mind's ability to grow and expand and regenerate. And modern sciences acknowledges, and this is what we knew in the ancient times, that sadhana creates this neuroplasticity. It doesn't just calm the mind, it completely rewires the mind. It creates new neural pathways. We have these channels in our body called nadis. There's 72,000 of these that carry consciousness, that carry life. And when we do the sadhana, these become clear and regenerated. But if we're going to engage in sadhana, the purpose is to meet ourselves as we are, right? It's to meet ourselves who we are, to do the real self-inquiry, to find out who we are beyond the name, beyond the game, beyond the roles. And the reality is, my reality is that most of us, when we sit down to meditate or pray or do breath work, the mind does not sit still so easily. It actually starts going crazy. It brings up all this stuff that we try to hide, that we try to avoid. So meditation, sitting down for meditation, isn't about just being quiet all of a sudden. It's about actually bringing up all these parts. It's about meeting ourselves, who we are and who we're not. And for me, when I sit down, the practice becomes more of an opportunity, or maybe even an invitation, to see which parts of myself either I've been avoiding or that need attention, that need more love, whether it's grief or an unmet need or some kind of protective strategy that I've developed to adapt to surviving instead of thriving in the world. What comes up is all the old pain, all the childhood wounds, all the stuff that's been pressed down. And, there's a voice inside of us that says, that we may not be good enough, or that we're not worthy of love, or this isn't going to work, or whatever the thing is. And that reflects the ache of our pain, our grief, our disappointments. For many, myself included, it's the hunger for love. But if we're looking for that outside of ourselves, we're always going to be disappointed. It's looking within. And a lot of times I hear from people, this is the point where many people quit doing their spiritual practice. They think, maybe if I'm spiritual, shouldn't I just feel peace? Why are all these negative thoughts coming up? Why can't my mind be still? Why do I feel more pain now? And that's the truth. The deeper we go, the more we're going to have to experience, the more we meet the parts of ourselves that have been hidden in the shadow. There's a story about the swimming pool cleaner. So there's a pool boy, and he's cleaning the pool. And he has the net, and he cleans all the debris off the top of the pool. And the head pool guy comes and says, why didn't you clean the pool? And the pool boy says, yeah, I cleaned the pool. Look, it's clean. He says, what are you talking about? And the head pool person stirs up all the leaves at the bottom of the pool. He takes a stick and stirs it up, and all the stuff comes to the surface. And then the pool cleaner cleans it again. He says, look, I cleaned it. He tells his boss, I cleaned it. And the boss says, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? And he takes a stick and stirs it up again, and all this stuff comes to the surface. Finally, the pool cleaner catches on and he starts stirring it up himself and cleaning it away and stirring it up and cleaning it away. And that's what our sadhana does. That's what real sadhana encourages us to do, is to stir it up ourselves and then clear it away. It encourages us to not push away those parts that are difficult, to turn towards them with love, with compassion, with empathy, with tenderness, and ask really difficult questions. And this is the spiritual path, is just asking these difficult questions. What is this part of me trying to protect? Where am I wounded? What is this protection? What is carrying all this pain inside? And what does it need to feel safe? These are important questions. These are questions that we ask during compassionate inquiry. What is the part of me that is being protected? What pain is it carrying? And what does it need to feel safe? So when we're in the meditation process and this stuff is coming up, we can ask questions like this. What is this about? What do I need right now? Is this my 3-year-old self, my 10-year-old self, my 1-month-old self that was put in a nursery and not held all day? What's coming up? Really, when we do these spiritual practices, this sadhana, it's not to escape our humanity. It's to embrace it. And it's not bypassing. I hear all the time, you're meditating because you don't want to deal with life. It's actually the opposite. I'm meditating because I want to deal with life. I don't want to bypass the wounds. I want to bring into the wounds, into the pain, the light of love, the light of consciousness, the light of intention, the light of awareness. And in that way, the spiritual practice, every time we practice, it's a meeting of our self. It's meeting ourself with truth. And over time, the wounded parts soften, they integrate, and they become our teachers and our allies versus obstacles. That's what frees us. This is the process. This is what sadhana does. It frees us from all this stuff. It's not that we're trying to escape anything. It's actually meeting everything head on. So that's a major piece of it. That the spiritual path, it's head on. It's a bullet train straight towards self-discovery, straight towards self-realization. And another aspect of it is that it's not about seriousness. It's not supposed to be serious. I'm a serious meditator. I'm a serious sadhak. What does that even mean? I think that's actually missing the whole point. It's not supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be about perfection. It's not about becoming some picture-perfect yogi sitting in lotus all day in some beautiful nature setting. Now, that's wonderful, and if you can do that, and wonderful, great, but that's not exactly it. It's about looking at the hidden programs. It's about looking at the samskaras, the latent tendencies, to bring them to the surface, to free us from them. So instead of pushing all that away, we learn to hold that gently. So again, sadhana is not a place to escape ourselves. It's a place to embrace ourselves. We have to do that with gentleness and compassion and honesty. If we're lying to ourselves, I'm holy, I'm sacred, I don't have any trauma. I've had people this year tell me that they've healed all their wounds, all the abuse from their parents, the rape, all this. I don't believe that for an instant. How do we heal all of our trauma? With love only. I mean, maybe, but if we've healed all of that, we're enlightened. And so, we have to be honest. We can't lie to ourselves. Like, that's the most important thing, is the honesty we give to ourselves. So many people say, what can I expect by doing this sadhana? So if you're new to doing spiritual practice, if you're new to sadhana, or if you did sadhana and you drifted away from it, that's okay. No problem. You just come back to it. But what's actually going to happen if you commit to doing daily practice? And you're not going to forget to pay your bills. You're not going to forget your address, at least probably not. And if you do, if you're truly doing so much sadhana that you don't remember where you live or you pay your bills, then God's going to provide someone to come and care for you, because you've attained a state where now you're the teacher and a whole different scenario takes place. Everything changes there. But for most of us, that's not the goal. I want to remember where I live. I don't want someone to have to take care of me. But on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level, really something starts to change. Physically, there's more energy in the body. We have better sleep. We have stronger immunity. The digestive system improves. The nervous system can handle stress without collapsing. The mind becomes clear, it becomes sharper, it becomes focused, more focused, it becomes inspired, and it stops reacting impulsively and begins to respond. And if we can respond, responsibility, the ability to respond versus react, reacting is based on past experiences, past wounds, past traumas. When we respond versus react, there's a massive amount of freedom in that. And then from there, our emotions shift. The old patterns really start to fade away, and we start to really live in the present moment. And in that present moment, there's a gratitude and a joy. There's a freedom in that. We're not trapped by the anger, the fear, the sadness, or loneliness, or anything like that. And hopefully what ends up coming from that is an awakening, where we really start to feel the unity of creation, that we're not separate, that we're part of this magical creation called the universe, the one song, we're a part of the whole. And in that remembrance, we are aware that we're infinite, we're free. And we may not keep that all the time. It's actually very difficult to keep that consciousness of infinity all the time, but we are aware of the whole, and we are aware that we're part of the whole, and that there is a unity amongst all of us, and that we're not really separate anymore. So, there was times in my life where I was completely unhinged, and my mind was so restless, the body was tired, emotions are heavy, and ultimately what carried me through all of that was not some mystical vision. It was the consistency of the practice of sitting in silence in the morning, of following the breath, of doing my mantra every single day, and praying with whatever sincerity I could muster up that day, and offering it to the divine with gratitude. And it's never glamorous. It's not mystical. It's not pretty. Okay. Some days it's really difficult. I do have to still. I'm been doing practice for 35 years. And there's days where I don't want to get out of bed and do it, but I do it anyway. And I'm grateful that I do. And it's not perfect. There's days where it's really hard. I still have days that are really hard physically, mentally, and emotionally. A lot of days, actually, especially this year. There's been a lot of really difficult days this year. I would say there were more difficult, challenging days than easy days, and that's fine. I was finally okay with not being okay all the time. I was finally okay sitting in the pain and watching it, where in the past, I would try and numb it out with whatever method possible. And I tried a lot of methods, okay? Numbing it out never helps. It makes it worse. So slowly, we crack. It's like, you put the seed below the surface of the earth. We want to grow something. We put the seed below the surface of the earth. It has to be humble. It has to break. It has to go into the darkness. The seed goes into the dark soil, and heat, pressure, rain, mud, it cracks. And then it sprouts, and then it makes a plant, and it turns towards the sun, and then it provides fruit, and then it provides nourishment. So we have to be humble like that seed and go below the soil, go into the darkness of the soil. And when we do that, whatever time it takes, every seed sprouts in a different time frame, depending on the conditions, depending on the weather conditions, internal and external. But as we do that, we realign ourselves. We realign ourselves with ourselves. And my connection to myself and to love and to life is constantly renewing. It's that daily resolution, that new day resolution to be the seed going below the earth and being willing to be cracked open and to sprout. So sadhana is like watering the seed. It won't sprout overnight. And the likelihood, unless you're really, really ripe, is that you're not going to see growth overnight. But one day, whether it's weeks or months or years later, we look back and that seed has become a tree, and its roots are holding us steady in the midst of the storm. And we can provide fruit and shelter for others. And so that's what sadhana does. And in the modern world, I think it's more important than ever to do this because we're constantly being pulled in every direction. We're constantly pulled outward into screens, into politics, into this thing and that thing, into people's opinions and thoughts, and into all the noise, all that projection, into the Instagram imaging, all of it. And it's my understanding, it's my awareness that without a spiritual practice, without that sadhana, it is almost impossible to remember who we really are. Okay. It doesn't have to be any specific tradition. It's just sitting, going out into nature. Even if it's just 15 minutes, 30 minutes of sincere attention, sincere practice, that changes everything. It's just, I would say it's like tuning an instrument. You become attuned to the higher harmonic octaves of life, and that harmonic frequently flows into every song you sing, the song of your relationship, the song of your work, the song of your creativity, the song of your service to others. And so really one of the things that I hold so dear is a quote from Ram Dass that I heard in the early 90s. I work on myself as service to others, and I serve others as work on myself. And truly, if we're not able to sit, we're not able to do mantra, we're not able to do those things, service, selfless service, it's called seva, I think is actually one of the highest forms of spiritual practice we can do, to serve someone else, because it benefits us first. It takes us out of our mind. It takes us out of our limited thinking and our own little personal story. We're thinking of others. But ultimately, it becomes that we're actually still serving ourselves, because there is no others. In the highest truth, there's only us. We're all here together. There's only us. So every act of service we do, it's for us, and it's for us in the form of other. Because if we remember what the Tao said, out of nothing comes the one, out of one comes two, out of two comes three, out of three comes all things. It's the same thing in the Sankhya philosophy of yoga and Ayurveda, to know the truth. All things come from the one. All things are created because the one wanted to experience itself as the many. And that, to me, is just absolute beauty. There's one of us, and we wanted to experience ourselves as in this dance of life, in this beautiful dance of life. So we created. And so the sadhana reminds us of why we created, for love, to experience beauty and joy and radiance. So the greatest spiritual practice is to fill your heart with love and express it in everything you do, and bring more joy and more light into the world. So today, at the end of this year, this is the end of 2025, we're getting ready to start a new year. I invite you to really recommit to your spiritual practice, to doing a sadhana. And if you've never done a sadhana, start one. Not as a duty, not as any kind of religious obligation, and especially not as a way of avoiding hell or purgatory, as many religions would like us to believe. It has nothing to do with that. You do sadhana, we do sadhana, I do sadhana as a love affair with myself, as a love affair with my own consciousness. When I really show up for my practice, life shows up for me. I see that more and more and more. And in that, there's a resilience that we didn't know we had. When life is showing up for us because we're showing up for us, we develop this resilience. We find this extraordinary joy in our day-to-day activities, in our day-to-day experience, planting a seed, watering the garden, just going to the grocery store and handing your money to the cashier, and just looking at them in the eye with all love and sincerity, and just telling them, have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. I feel connected to something so much more vast and so much more mysterious and so much more sacred. And so really, we do this sadhana not about becoming someone else or disappearing, but just showing up 100% for ourselves, for the community, for our family, for the world. It's about remembering who we really are in the highest sense, and that's love. And love is God, God is love. They're inseparable. We just have words for them, but it's the same. my prayer ending this 2025 and going into 2026 is that your practice is filled with light. May your heart be filled with light and love. And that gets filled so much that it's expressed in everything you do, and that our paths are blessed with all the joy and all the love and all the radiance in the universe. And may 2026, every day, every morning of 2026 be the best day ever, the best moment ever. So if you've been listening to this podcast this year, I thank you from the depth of my heart. It means everything. And please continue listening and sharing your stories and your comments. And if you have found value in this so far, please share it with others, share it with your family, your communities, and we keep spreading more love and more light. And so much more to come in 2026 as this podcast grows. I'm so excited. So thank you so much. Have a blessed new year, and we'll keep journeying together. Namaste.